Thanks everyone for joining today in our next session of Success Way. And today I have the pleasure of introducing Harsha, who is managing director. But before we before we jump into I let her speak, let me kind of quickly introduce her to the audience today. So she is, and it's a long list. So I have a picture of this on my phone. So I'm going to read it out from the phone because I don't want to get it wrong. So she has been awarded National Social Entrepreneur Fellow. She was selected as the top 10 Indian women entrepreneurs by Dell. She has been awarded CSR Visionary and CSR Women Leader by Institute of Public Enterprises. And she has a Women Excellence in CSR Author of the Year, Top 50 Rising Stars in India by Barclays London, and then Super Woman Achiever 2017 by Femina, and 2040 Under 40 Alternate Investment Professional in 2018. So it's a pretty long list. So Harsha, how do you do all this?
I don't know. I mean, I didn't do much. I still have to do so much. The task that we have in our hand is big.
No. And then before, I'll just kind of quickly give a sneak peek. We will talk about some other talents she has, which is namely around being an author and poet and everything. So we will touch upon that later. But today, actually, the reason I invited Harsha to join is I met her at one of the a, um, a green event, as they called it, as they marketed it, and it was mostly around how can technology and startups help with um, you know the bigger mission of being green and bigger mission of being ecologically responsible and being a good global citizen. And so that's where I kind of started talking about her mission and what her passions are, what she's passionate about. So without taking more of the microphone time, let me just pause. Harsha, why don't you kind of just talk about some of your interests and goals?
So I have been working on the International Institute for CSR and Sustainability since 13 and a half years. And we started as a foundation, and we wanted to support several other NGOs. So we did fundraising initially, and we supported some of the noble causes such as organizing cultural event for differently abled people, and doing impact assessment studies. At that time in 2010, there was no law when we started in India, and in 2013 they came up with a law. And then when they came up with the law, everybody was like, okay, now what to do, in this. So education was a challenge on these subjects, so that's why we started IICSR. And it has been a very fulfilling journey since then. CSR has just evolved into sustainability into ESG. I know you have some questions on ESG.
No, we'll talk about ESG in a minute. So one thing I wanted to, when you mentioned they came out with the law in 2013, what law are you referring to, and what was the impact of that law?
So CSR law came out, and it was enacted in 2014 on all the publicly listed corporates. And many companies which had a turnover of 5 crores, or turnover of about 1,000 crores, they fell into that purview. And they had to report, and they had to give 2% of their profits to the CSR related activities. Now, the government of India also defined which were the CSR activities that they could contribute to. So those things were, even now, whenever they update the policy, they always mention, okay, these are the 14, 15, 16 points that you need to invest. And not only the areas, but also the geographic locations. We have also identified the most vulnerable geographical locations in our country, and we encourage them into investing there more social investments, so that it could uplift the society.
So are there similar laws in other countries as well, or is this something only in India or other regions as well?
So we also came out with a study of global CSR laws.
Hmm.
And yes, there are some of the other countries, but most of them go with comply or explain. Like Denmark is comply or explain. Dubai has come up with comply or explain. Egypt also has something on the similar lines. So if they do not contribute towards the social good of the society where they are primarily operating, they need to explain why they are not doing that, if they are incurring losses in their business, or if there are any other such reasons. They need to explain everything to the authorities.
Okay, okay. So you mentioned ESG, and so let's kind of talk about this law, and its versions or variations of this law in other places as well, and this what we the media refers to as ESG. How what let's first talk about ESG. What is it? What does it entail? And how does this law kind of fit into into the ESG picture?
So ESG per se has not been come as a law, but the financial institutions are in a way mandating it, wherein you need to report not only your financial outcomes but also the non-financial reporting. So in our country, at least, SEBI has come out with certain guidelines. They have also come up with a guideline for how foreign entities could rate Indian companies, because there are many rating agencies like DJSI is there and S&P is there, and they are all rating Indian companies. So India has come up with its own guidelines on how to rate our companies on the dimensions of ESG. You have to be an accredited rating body to rate any company in our country. But in other countries that I have visited, it is primarily the investor pressure which has been higher than the regulators' pressure. Investors and also many of the stakeholders, like consumers, now consumers have become more aware about. And they are more conscious about their buying decisions, about which brand to buy, which brand not to buy. So it's a soft power right now, which is getting into the main domain, because it affects the long term sustainability of any company.
So for the use case or example, let's say you're a software house. What is the impact of ESG versus you are manufacturing motorcycles, and what is the impact of ESG in these two very different verticals?
So each industry has its own challenges when it comes to ESG. ESG stands for environmental, social, and governance, and also it differs from geography to geography. So what we do in India or what we do in US, you can't interchange when it comes to the social challenges in each geography. But environmental challenges more or so is the climate change related issues. So when it comes to IT industry vis-a-vis manufacturing industry, the carbon emissions would be different. The type of carbon emissions would be different, the vendors would be different, the scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 emissions would be different. These would be some of the differences that they need to entail. When it comes to social challenges of a IT company in the US vis-a-vis the IT company in India. For example, there are many multinationals. We can take an example of Amazon. Though I don't want to name any company, but yeah, I can say that social challenge in the US would not be about providing much on the education and the healthcare front, though these are the basic obligations. But in India, that would be of paramount importance, and not only of their employees, but which is not considered also, but of the communities which are around the Amazon campus or any IT company's campus. Also, literacy. Would be digital literacy. In US, it may not be given much prominence, but in India, digital literacy and financial literacy is given more prominence because we do have that challenge. Um, in this country, more so what I see is gender equality would be a challenge, because we have seen the ratio of male versus female versus other communities, and their representation is a challenge in the IT industry. Vis-a-vis, when we look at the manufacturing industry now, the vendors for say automobile manufacturing industry in India, it would be uh, a little different than what you would have the challenges over here. The transport system over here is very different than our country. And apart from the carbon emissions keep changing. It's more expensive over here. The carbon emission in the US will be higher than in India, because of the transport system. The rules, laws, regulations, governance also are governance, and the laws of each country is different. So yes, these are few of the things that needs to be taken care of. Also, the woman representation in the board of the company, which is independent and not of friends and family. In our country, you'll see many friends and family. In this country, it may not be necessarily that it's more credential oriented. But yeah, but whatever it is, but still, it is a very low representation of women directors in any country and any company.
Yeah. That I'm assuming you're talking about the G in the
Yes,
ESG, which is the governance,
yes.
right? So and those, even the governance umbrella, I don't know, for want of a better word, will be different from country A to country
Yeah,
B, is
yeah,
what I
yeah.
understand, right?
The laws,
And
regulations would be different for different countries. So there is no generic thing over there. But some of the universal thing is gender equality. That is a generic thing. Representation of underserved communities, inclusivity. These are some of the umbrella challenges which, irrespective of which company, which country you are in, every industry needs to address it.
okay, no, sounds good. And so and talking of, ESG, staying with the topic of ESG for a little bit, it started with a bang, right? Everybody was like ESG, ESG, and all of that, and then slowly it's kind of stabilizing is probably a euphemism, but it's kind of become a little murky at times. So what kind of is leading to the current, thinking across the spectrum of communities and such around this whole ESG framework, that, as you said, the banks were enforcing very strictly at one point, and what is it happening now? What brought this change, and where do you see this in 1 to 5 years from now?
So I see it's only strengthening, it's not weakening. But yes, just because one does not have the know-how. That's why it would be a gray area. But once you develop that know-how, it would be a black and white situation. So the something which is of paramount importance is education, and that's where we also come into picture.
Yeah, okay. So so let's talk about, you mentioned education and you know, and as you put on your introduction on the screen, managing director of IICSR Group. So let's talk about IICSR. What is it? What brought you to, found it? What is the mission charter? What are types of things you guys do over at IICSR, and let's talk about that.
So I started. I'm a computer science engineer. I also came to the US to study, but then I went back due to the subprime mortgage challenges. Then I worked a little bit in the UAE and the Gulf areas too, and again I went back to my country, and. I was pursuing my MBA out there. In the final semester, I was like, "What is that one thing that I'll do, which I can continue for life?" And now it's like it's pretty much all my life. And it came up to be I founded Ekja Foundation, wherein we were doing philanthropic activities and connected with several corporates. And while we were doing that, we learned that there was a knowledge gap, and when there was a knowledge gap, we decided to start with the institute. And apart from just doing the corporate training, we also do project implementation for the corporations. On the ground, we have done women's self-defense training in vulnerable communities in Delhi, Gurgaon, Noida, and in Mumbai area. We run libraries, public libraries in the communities, urban slums. We have done biodiversity impact assessment, human rights assessments, and several such consulting assignments as well. Project implementation, advisory, training, and we have just started this year a new wing on human resource consulting. So there are many of the corporates are looking for the right candidates, and they need the right support system and the talent. So that's where we have also entered as a company to provide them with the right talent.
Okay, so you have been kind of created, this is your baby, so to speak, and you have kind of nurtured it through the initial growing pains phase. So what were some of the challenges, because when you set up something like this, it's kind of pardon my B2B speak, but at some level, it's kind of like a marketplace, right? You have consumer of services, which are the students or participants or people attending IICSR, and then there are providers, which are the educators, the teachers, the whatever faculty, whatever you want to call them. So obviously, when you create a marketplace, that it has to kind of organically or through other means grow, which is in sync with each other. You cannot have 1,000 consumers and one provider, and you cannot go ahead and hire 100 of these guys, providers, and have no consumer.
Yeah.
So how do you maintain that balance? Because that is something that a lot of people I've talked to who want to do similar kinds of things in different verticals struggle with. So how did you manage that harmony between the consumer and the producer?
Well, I have seen days where I have lived on my credit cards. And yeah, it's not easy because and plus we are women, you see, they don't fund us. They just don't fund
Mm.
us, and plus we are services industry. They will just turn your back like this, tash. They're like, we don't know you. So I did not, although I'm a computer science engineer, I did not go ahead and started IT venture in this zone. So but I can't do much about it. What we focused on uh, was consistency in our delivery. and perseverance, because these are the only two things that could take us forward. We have been very consistent on our journey in the space of entrepreneurship, and we believe in delivering whatever we say. So in our business, business, in business, it's your word that counts. So if you
Mhm.
commit, okay, this will be done, it needs to be done. So that's how our growth, we don't have big banners and hoardings, and we don't have our students or alumni giving us huge funds. So we have not spent much in marketing, but it's more of word of mouth that we have grown from strength to strength. uh, uh,
Yeah.
in entrepreneurship, from what I see, consistency and perseverance pays long term, and delivering what you say. So only these things, if you have these things, you will survive regardless of the market. We survived even COVID.
No, no, no. If so, Harsha, in terms of, you said word of mouth and things like that. So, how many, you have a campus in Goa, right?
On the beach.
On the beach. So you wanna like quickly, I'm giving you 30 seconds to talk about your campus and do word of mouth through this.
Sure. So our campus is on the beach. We have Arabian Sea on the one side and Arambol jungles on the other side. We are a carbon sink, and the entire campus runs only on 2 kV, and we like to boast about it. Though there are challenges when it comes to delivery, but the natural light and the breeze and everything keeps the whole atmosphere so lively. You're living in the nature literally, and you're studying. In olden times in India, we had gurukuls, and that was some of the best ways, and people used to learn. Though we have all the AV rooms and everything, the modern equipments, but yes, we have tried to maintain it to be learning in the nature.
That almost makes me feel like I should join and live in that modern day gurukul, as you said. And in terms of persona of your typical student, who are the most common persona that is represented in the
Yeah, so
campus?
we get students from mid to senior management level. Sometimes the freshers join, but they also join after a year or 2 years of experience, and they want to pursue their interests in the space of sustainable development and CSR. We have not got a complete fresher as a student. We've got people who've left their job, and we have been successful in placing them in internships and jobs where they could be a good match to the best of our abilities. But yes, so people from mid to senior management are our ideal target market, and it's B2B.
Mm. And how long do you have, like, what is the like the duration, and at the end of it, would you get a certificate, you get a degree, diploma, like, can you just talk about
Yeah.
that,
So we can primarily give a certificate right now, but we are accredited by Ministry of Skills Development and Entrepreneurship, Government of India, and by American Council of Training and Development in the US. But we are working to our way up to give degrees also. The duration of the courses are like, we have short-term courses of 10 hours to long-term courses, which are like 220 hours, which is including of your project work, assignments, 80 hours. So yeah, it's different for different batches. Since our ideal customers are working professionals, most of our courses are online, though we also have a campus, so we try to make things hybrid for some of our modules. And yes, we have seen people coming on the campus and availing the benefits of that.
okay, so if you said hybrid, so I mean, if they wanted to, they could do the whole thing
Yeah.
remotely,
Yeah.
or
We have masters in ESG, masters in CSR and sustainability, our short-term courses. Everything is online. It's easier. We can't, and we have, because of that, we have our presence in the entire Southeast Asia. We have students from Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Dubai, Mauritius, Indonesia, and India.
oh, well, okay, yeah, you're a Southeast Asia powerhouse.
Working
So,
here.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, so Harsha, in terms of I one thing I had hinted at earlier. So let me bring up that. So you have authored books on CSR, right? So you have how many books have you authored?
I have lost the count, but yeah, must be 5, 6. Because
Oh,
many
wow.
times we also publish the same book from our company point of view, like global CSR. It's from the company point of view, so we build it up. We author from them too.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you've, and then you are a poet who has published the book Messages, as well as you have NFT poetries on
Yes.
OpenSea. Now that is such a mouthful. That's why I brought it up on my phone here. First of all, before this is, you're the first person, I'll be brutally honest, that who has an asset on NFT as an NFT. So first, if you don't mind, Yarsha, can you explain to the people what NFT
It's
is?
non-fungible tokens. You
No,
can,
that people might
yeah.
know, but in plain terms, what does it mean?
So you can buy my NFTs through different Bitcoin current through different cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin, but I'm usually selling in Ether, and we mint on that. So once you buy any one of the NFT, you can again resell it. You can put it in as your digital asset. From the digital land that you must have bought or studio that you may be having. So yeah, these are collectibles. My poetries are primarily focused on environment and life learnings. You see, we are entrepreneurs. We have a lot of life learnings, a lot of pain and things that goes into producing that. It's emotions.
So you have a poetry that you can read for us?
Okay, I'll read this one. Yes, I can read.
Sure, go
So,
ahead.
okay, I'll I'll read this. It's called Formless.
Hmm.
Formless am I, just given forms by many here. Nameless am I, just given names by many here. Shakti am I, igniting all around I. Conscious am I, living all around here. Different was I never, always one. Differentiated by you am I here. Karma is mine, you are my means. Calling me, you are here, 'cause you're mine. Identify, do you, to the unidentified me. Nature am I. Omnipotent am I, but nowhere to be seen. In all I reside. Some follow me, some follow the human beings. Your journey too is mine. No matter what being you give me, you all belong to the formless being of mine. Formless am I, just given being by the human beings, as everywhere I reside. Formless.
Wow, excellent. Very nice. You wrote it recently,
Yeah,
or
this was one of the recent poetries, but I managed to write at least 5 in a week. I go into deep meditation, and that's the outcome.
wow. Okay, maybe next time we talk, we could talk about your meditation techniques
Sure.
that result in
Yes,
poetry.
I learned this in Goa. I was in Arambol. It has beautiful jungle with the flowing river, and that's where I used to go and meditate every day. Now in Silicon Valley, there is no such thing. So maybe in future again.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Excellent. So, no, thanks for sharing your one of your recent writings. So that is great. I mean, anything else, Harsha, you want to, because, we are kind of, almost done with the time slot
Yeah.
here. So, any parting words for the audience that you want to share?
Yeah, so we are working on building up the base in the US, and we would like to invite you all for our upcoming event on the 15th of December at Hannah House, Palo Alto. And we would be keeping these kind of sustainability dialogues in the upcoming year also. All our events are hybrid, so that you can also check it online and on our YouTube channel, IICSR Info. And thank you, Shankar, so much for having me on this show. It has been a pleasure interacting with you and a fellow entrepreneur. And great to see you. I wish you all the best and luck in all your efforts.
Oh, thanks, Harsha. It was great having you. And, I will post the details of the event that Harsha is mentioning in the description with the video. So people can find it easily. As she said, it's a hybrid event, so you don't need to be physically here in the location, but join remotely as well. And again, thank you so much, Harsha. And for people who enjoyed the talk and you want to be featured, please reach out to me on LinkedIn or whatever you prefer. And till next time, take care, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you.